12:50.
She's just bored. Let him come first. Just talk.
I'll wait for him to come.
Yeah, let him come first. He's still eating.
Are they still off at 1:15 then?
He's not here yet. He's not arrived yet.
I know.
He was still reaching green zone and then he's trying to find his location over here.
Oh gosh. We put this timer on for 30, didn't we? You did. Yeah. So he's got 21. I do it kind of whip, so it's not going to go in that much.
Oh, God. Then he sent that to the wrong person.
بقول بس مو بيوم انت تشوف عشان ما بدي اضحك. بيعصبون علي والله بيطرشوا لي warning. ايه ايه ما عم عشان اكون serious. انا يوم serious ما وصلوا.
Okay, but we have a long break. You have access to the time that takes up.
I did. Anyway, we'll see what who does the days?
So how long does the guy need?
You know what? It's just 30. It's a 30 minutes. I think it's already supposed to go.
Like,
We'll have 15 minutes for lunch.
it's okay, guys. We have 3:30 and ongoing. So think positive. We got it.
I love this.
It's one day to go. 3:30 is quite early.
No, but we have to stay till 6 for the.
We can roam
know.
around until 6.
We can?
Yeah, of
I
course.
would like to roam into the
Wait, we're not
USA.
allowed to leave. Roam around until 6. خايفة من المديرة تاني. احنا طبعا بنروح.
It's for the photo at 6.
You're not forced to.
I want this pink.
Then leave. You can leave if you like.
Oh, yeah. Rather than...
I never know if it's major. And he said he's walking in now. Yeah.
You get to one mic? Like yes.
How are you? You okay?
Yeah, there's boxes.
Dear guests, welcome to the UAE Pavilion at COP28. We would like to bring to your attention that the following session will be broadcasted via live stream on our channels. We seek your kind support and mindfulness during the presentations. Thank you for understanding and enjoy the session.
ضيوفنا الأعزاء، مرحبا بكم في جناح الإمارات في مؤتمر المناخ كوب 28. نود أن نلفت انتباهكم إلى أنه سيتم بث الجلسة التالية مباشرة على قنواتنا. نتطلع لدعمكم الكريم خلال العروض ونعرب عن امتناننا لتفهمكم وتعاونكم.
Yes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm delighted to be here with Yazen Al-Kodamni. It's something I've been looking forward to for a long time to actually meet him. He and his father are responsible for Biofarm, and it's an organization both not only famous in the UAE, but I think getting more and more famous globally because of the work they're doing. And so I'm very excited to be here with Yazen and to talk a little bit about what he's up to and the philosophy behind it, and see what we can do with it. So I'd like to just hand it over to Yazen and say, can you tell us a little bit about the origin story?
My father came. Hello, everyone. My name is Yazen Al-Kodamni. My father came to the UAE in 1974. as a fresh graduate agriculture engineer from Syria, from Damascus University, and he had heard of a man greening the desert, His Highness the late Sheikh Zayed Al Nahyan. And he came to follow this vision and worked in the first research centers in the UAE, growing wheat in the desert in Al Oha, which is today Silal's, one of Silal's biggest farms. And since then, he has built a group of companies around greenhouse building, irrigation systems, and really carried the belief of environmental protection. So in 1995, with the growth of all this agriculture in the UAE under his leadership, they developed the first organic fertilizer factory in the region, certified, and today it's the largest organic fertilizer factory. And since 2017, I've been managing Emirates Biofarm. Emirates Biofarm is the UAE's largest organic farm. We also have an ecotourism and agritourism project that welcomes over 1,000 guests a week.
And Yazen, what's your background? What were you doing before you took it over?
Well, I studied business, and I am on the business side of things, but I grew passionate about the agriculture aspect and the environmental protection. And I started looking at menu systems, at how can we build a sustainable food system in a country like the United Arab Emirates? How can we influence consumption towards more sustainable products based on what I saw in the agriculture? So I had this unique opportunity to see the industry from the inputs, to deal with farmers because we supply and build many of the farms, and to be a farmer and distributor and deal with the retailers and the end consumer. So I started advocating in sustainable food systems, and I'm on the National Task Force for Sustainable Farms. And based on this knowledge and this network, I was hired by the World Economic Forum to set up the Food Innovation Hub, UAE, with a very strong local partner, the Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Global Initiatives.
No, it's a phenomenal initiative, and I think what World Economic Forum is doing there globally. And so to have a UAE and have it supported by such a fantastic foundation. But I'd love to get underneath some of these words, because we use these words sustainable, we use these words innovation, and they hide a lot of good and bad. And I'd love to hear even just some thoughts on organic. So what does the word organic mean to you? So you talk about organic fertilizer, talk about what does that mean to you, and especially in the context of let's face it, not a great climate for growing per se, but it is.
In terms of organic is a certified, it's a certification and basically trademarked as a system that was developed not so long ago, late 90s, that was codified and became more standard. Organic is a way of identifying products that have been grown without the use of chemical pesticides, chemical fertilizers, and with sustainability in mind. Now, today, organic is the fastest, one of the fastest growing consumer segments on retail shelves. Maybe 5-10 years ago, you would have seen a few products. Today, it takes up a huge shelf space. So, of course, this is an opportunity, I think, for the UAE, especially where we are growing in the agriculture industry, and our inputs are too precious to sell and compete in the conventional space. I think it should be a premium product because our costs are already high, and organic really fits into what the country wants to achieve. Now, on the other hand, this isn't what I only push for. And in a multi-pronged approach, of course, indoor agriculture and has its place in water-saving technology and many others. So the Food Innovation Hub is kind of disconnected from my work as organic agriculture. Yeah.
And I think that idea of sort of organic for here, and because I think a lot of that organic movement came with the accreditation model, but it was a little bit devoid of context. And so, providing that context in the UAE becomes really interesting. And I think that, we're starting to see what grows well here. You know, a friend of mine, when I first moved to the UAE, was saying, you've got to flip your seasons. So in the way that in the sort of northern temperate climates, you have greenhouses because we don't have sun and heat. Here you need shade houses, and so it's flipping. So are you finding that you're translating and adapting the growing seasons? How's that working?
I think this is a core tenet of the Food Innovation Hub. So the Food Innovation Hub has 3 key strategies. One is arid climate agriculture. 2 is integrity and circularity in our supply chains. As our supply chain now, we have excellent supply chains and trade hubs, but we are estimated to be throwing away about 38% of the food. So having this circularity is very important so that we can make use of this opportunity that we have, and having integrity in the supply chain, so traceability, so that the local produce can get its fair market price, and any claims that are made on products are verified. And the third thing would be nutrition, localization, and alternatives. Now, when you spoke about the technology being fit for purpose, this is extremely important. A lot of the time we are bringing in technology or providers that has been built in a different environment. Even if similar, it might have different input costs, labor costs. So we cannot assume that we can copy paste. And a lot of times that has been a challenge. So today, I think the entire industry in the UAE, and even the main players in the UAE, from Silal and Adio and the ministry and others, they are looking for advancements that are built around our industry, around our environment, around our market. And you see more and more, and this is what the innovation grants are about, and the research grants are about.
And there's some really creative work going in there. I mean, I think you are obviously at the forefront of a lot of that. I'd like to pivot a little bit and talk about not only are you leading in it, but you're trying to share that. So the ecotourism that you've built in it, trying to get sort of families and people to become aware, because I think, you know, with the rise of sort of supermarkets in particular, we're getting further and further away from the provenance of our foods. And so getting people reconnected to that. And I would love to see, just to see the thought, a documentary, you know, in the same way that Amazon did that series with Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear when he started the farm, and it really raised the attention and appreciation of farmers. Because globally we are seeing, this, especially in Canada, North America, Europe, farmers are going less and less into farming. Yeah. And so you are bucking that trend beautifully. So I would love to see someone photogenic like you maybe doing a series.
I think we do our version of it. So I think the series, under the comedy and the entertainment, a lot of people got educated about the challenges of farming, how much government, so if you followed that series, you can see how much government support came from the British government in terms of, and we have these subsidy structures here, but they are never the same. So even if we are competing on efficiency, other countries from all around the world are sending us product here, and everybody's operating in completely different structures and economies. So we got educated without intending to be, because Jeremy Clarkson's very fun to watch, and we do the same on our farm tours. So we make it fun and educational for the family, but a lot of times they leave with some questions that and new ideas that they learned on the phone. So we try to...
And a better understanding.
Yes, and advocacy, especially towards our menu and our restaurant. So this morning I had a delegation from the Netherlands Ministry of Agriculture, had breakfast at the farm. Yeah. And even if it's a vegetarian restaurant, it doesn't mean that they had avocado toast, and because that's not what I grow. So it was a lot of beetroots and local eggs and salads made from our products, and they had okra and all these kinds of things. And that is what I hope to do, what I hope we can do with the Food Innovation Hub, especially the Grown in UAE initiative. We want to influence menus, because unless we start influencing the menu to have our products, then people that come produce here, are going to face challenges supplying the market. So we want to make sure we highlight our products, not just as Emirates Biofarm, as local production. And we want more camel milk on menus and more dates on menus. And we want to ensure that local production we're influencing menus, not just in the UAE, but hopefully abroad.
But I think this is what I love about the way you're interpreting food, because we take the full scientific model, and it becomes about nutrition, and we will, if you follow Jetsons, etc., we will be taking tablets. But actually, the role of culture in food is really important. And Professor Spence from Oxford University has been writing a lot about psychology of food and how it is culturally dependent. So the fact you're growing for the cultures here, what our grandparents would recognize, I think really helps socialize that. And so, just seeing the beetroot and then how you put that into local recipes. What are you growing at the moment?
So the season in the UAE started past month, the main season. We grow all types of main products, from tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, eggplants, as well as a lot of root crops. We do about 40 tons of potatoes, onions, and then carrots and beetroots and root crops, and of course all the lettuces and the herbs. We do organic eggs. So this would be a bit similar to a lot of other farms locally, but they would specialize more into 5 to 10 items.
And how many acres are you currently in?
About 46 acres, so 25 hectares. The land is 100 hectares. So we still have a lot of room to expand in terms of ecotourism, agritourism, and production. I think now our interests are, we're growing millets and quinoa, and obviously these type of crops, grains, you need large spaces. This is commercial, so it'll never compete with high value vegetables, but we do it for the love of the food and the culture, just to show. And we have millets growing on site in Urban Expo Farm, so we have quinoa and millets growing here just to showcase.
I mean, this has been something I've really enjoyed about Italy, and it's very regional food, and the slow food movement is really sort of embraced. So there are certain villages that will grow a different type of grain which suits their soil, and so rather than just bringing in generic wheat, they're actually trying to be specific to their culture and their growth. So I think it's lovely to see. What do you see as the next sort of growth stage for biofarms? Because I think I saw a statement about trying to replace food imports and...
In terms of Emirates Biofarm, I think we're going to expand our agri-tourism. We want to expand our production into other products, and we hope that eventually we become a village where you come and there's multiple operators, because we are all benefiting from each other. So the chickens could be eating a lot of the leftover product. We use the manure, we use the eggs, and so on. So if you add fish and you add sheep and you add a cheesemaker and you add a baker and fermentation and all this village.
Starting to
and
get hungry
people,
now.
Yeah, this is a challenge of having these talks. We always end up being hungry. So that is what I see for Emirates Biofarm. But in terms of the industry as a whole, with the Food Innovation Hub and the partners we have, I'm hoping that we influence menus, we influence production towards sustainable products, and some of them are quinoa and others. Of course, ICBA has halophytes and salicornia and so on. So how can we support that? How can we support existing important industries like the date production that I mentioned, and camel milk, and the vegetable farmers within the season? And how can we get grants? We want grants for purpose. So right now, a lot of the technology, as I mentioned, has been coming and has been adapted as it is sometimes. So now, from the learnings we got in the past 5 to 10 years, 15 years, how can we adapt to make sure that the money or innovation grants go into the right solutions that have been built around the waste that we have here, that have been built around the environment that we have here, or the challenges. So let's say a company deals with waste, but if they deal with bran or something that doesn't grow here, we need somebody that deals with palm date waste.
Yes.
If we're looking at water-saving techniques, we would really love water-saving techniques in animal feed or alternative animal feeds using insects and so much. So we want the grants to be grants with purpose, designed around UAE challenges and UAE objectives and goals.
Which are then incredibly transferable, because I think, some of the problems we've got, they are unique to here, but they're incredibly transferable. And in terms of that sort of eating homegrown, I do know a number of restaurants, a number of chefs we've been working with who are trying to sort of make sure the food comes from within a 100-kilometer radius. And I think I would love to see, all support that. I think all of us would agree with that. I mean, we're starting to see some phenomenal little niche mushroom manufacturers that are now supplying. And so I think you're pioneering a lot of that work as we go. I'm also conscious just to sort of open this up a little bit to the audience, if there are any questions, and we can keep the conversation going.
I think on the topic of transferability, one of the key visions is what is UAE's role in agriculture? How can we get innovators to come and invest their time and money here? And one of the key things that we think the impact of the UAE is not just in the number of residents or the agriculture industry today, but we think we are already farming with the challenges of extreme temperature, lack of fresh water, and lack of soil. So the solutions we are coming up with here, the methods, should be helping farming in the future.
Yeah.
Climate change is causing these challenges across the globe. Many people are heading towards lack of water, extreme temperatures, salt water, all of these challenges. So we think the UAE's impact is going to be outsized for the future of feeding the world.
I 100% agree. I lived in New Zealand for a long time, and 60% of New Zealand's economy is agriculture. And when you look at sort of how does a tiny nation that is thousands of miles away deal with that as an export? And there's pros and cons to a lot of this, but I think that attraction of a research center would be lovely to see this innovation hub really take off. And I think, our interests in the supply chain are at that consumer end. So completely with you about how do we get people to think about what you can do with some of these things that we haven't done. You look at Ethiopia with its teff and how that is so cultural a grain. The quinoa here, and there's different varieties, and how we can bring that sort of biodiversity in as well. I think they're really, I think it's a phenomenal project. Are there any questions, or? There's got to be a question for Yazen.
Thank you, Yazen. First of all, just last of your words, you mentioned the challenges we're facing in UAE. Actually, as you know, all of you maybe know that local production is one of the main pillars of UAE food security strategy. Okay, and I know the importance of agri-tech, introducing new technologies, okay, to compete and overcome all these challenges. As the ministry, we are fully aware the importance of agri-tech and private sector and entrepreneur to come with the ministry to work together. And already we established one task force. And by the way, Yazen is one of the member of this task force. So our approach to private sector is from long back, and we are going ahead according to our plan. Yazen, what is missing, okay, to reach the certain of level that we can say, okay, now we are a total engagement with the private sector to implement the solution that we already know how to can oversight these challenges you mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I think, of course, as you mentioned, the work being done is already, the ministry is very accessible to the private sector. The team is very accessible. The minister, Her Excellency Mariam Miheri, is very accessible to the private sector. Now, the challenge is how can we get the private sector to do, as you said, what we think is appropriate as solutions. And This is going to be a difficult one, but there are two things. So, in my opinion, a lot of times we don't like to talk about failure. And what I mean is there are a lot of projects that there's many learnings from them. There's projects that have been established, a lot of money invested, and maybe had a challenge from one aspect or the other. This is usually not collected in a way. It's collected with a few individuals. So how can we make sure that we are building forward, not the same projects being announced without a solution for some of the challenges?
And learning from them.
Yeah, so data, having the knowledge centers, of course, are very, very important. I think more events like this, more interaction within the private sector and the public sector. I look forward to a food systems summit that brings everybody in a closed environment, not media, but more for internal industry, where conversations could be had, earnest conversations could be had, honest conversations within the industry, like a retreat. And more of that, I think we will get there. I see a very big shift in the industry because of the efforts that the ministry is doing. But this year and the year past, now everybody's talking about research centers and trials, and instead of looking outside for solutions, we want to check, we want to try, we want to see. So all of this is excellent, and we are very hopeful, inshallah.
Thank you, Yazen. I just want to acknowledging the point you mentioned about bringing all stakeholders together and find the challenges and see how we can, compete these challenges. May I announce that, inshallah, next January, we will determine the dates later on. We will have big gathering for all stakeholders and main players for agri-tech and agri-business. We will bring them all together. We will sit and discuss all the challenges. Then we will develop different task forces. So within timeline, we see that this is the solution, this is how we can implement, and this even how we can take it to the small-scale farms and livestock owners. Without them, without reaching with the solution with them, and they to be part of our solution, we will not accomplish our mission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Correct. Thank
I
you.
mean, I just want to add on to what you're saying, because I think now with my foundation hat on, all of these are people related. You know, we need to find the crazy lunatics like you that will do the work and that will stick to doing the work and will be there learning through any mistakes that you come up and learning. And so I do think that, you know, if I think of the camel milk example, so Her Highness throws an idea at us about camel cheese, you know, and camel cheese is actually very hard to make. It's a very different, it's an enzyme process, but it's actually got huge health benefits. And for those that are lactose intolerant, it's naturally in that. The Australians are very good at it because there are a group of 6 of them that actually pioneered making cheese from camel milk. So we need to find the people, and I think getting those people in together and having these debates, I think, becomes really important. So yeah, we need more lunatics like you that are going to go out there and actually do the work. And I think for a lot of the industries we're moving, that's a big part of the job, is finding people with that spark in their eyes.
I think what's incredible also in the past few years, we have the launch of Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Agriculture Award, which is highlighting across, I believe, 6 or 7 categories. You have Sheikh Khalifa Award for Innovation in Palm Dates and Agriculture. You have Food Tech Challenge. And all of these are really bringing to the forefront many of these solution providers. We must not forget, ultimately, there's about 30,000 farmers. And, you know, because we do agri-tourism, so many people know about us, but we learn from many of these.
Absolutely.
And there are, you know, if you called it lunatics, but somebody's growing ostriches, 2,000 ostriches.
Absolutely.
You have Rami Muri with thinking of producing oysters and a dream to produce oysters, and today they export to Europe and Asia. You have camel milk, 90% of it exported to the US. So we have this hungry industry that is now, with all this support from the government, from the different entities, from this light being shown on them, you're getting a lot of production. We have berries locally produced, so when you see Driscoll's, a lot of it says produced in the UAE.
And I'm loving these. I mean, I've found that in Kitfa is the sardine capital of the UAE, and there's sardines. And so I agree that there's so much beautiful activity, and it's kind of how do we bring light to it? And I think Biofarm, you're very much leading that.
Our challenge is how to support it, how to make it sustainable, how to increase our production, and then how to compete. One of the issues with our assumptions is we think if we produce it, then we will sell it because we import 80 to 90%. That is a wrong assumption. You need to compete. You need to compete on the shelf. You need to find your space. So this is a key aspect. How do we support them to compete better? And hopefully in the future, our products are all around the world, not just in the UAE.
And valued for that.
Valued, yeah.
Thank you so much, Yazen. I hope you're around for a little bit longer, so if you do have any questions, please come and talk to us. We're getting the nod. One final question.
Thank you. I was wondering if you have considered expand even more your supply chain to those countries that are demanding products linked with deforestation in the Amazon forest, because it's one of the biggest threats now of the agriculture systems in the world is the threat of deforestation in those intact ecosystems. So I think it's a very good opportunity also to supply this demand.
Yeah, thank you. Right now, so the UAE, because of its large import of a lot of product, our core focus is replacing the imports and supplying our local markets. But obviously, as you said, there are opportunities outside, and many of these firms, a lot of them are looking outwards to finding solutions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yazen, thank you so much, and bravo. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.